Welcome in. Welcome in.
Hello.
Way to bring him in, John.
Just gotta throw you for a loop. Man. Gotta keep you on your toes.
Welcome to the Face Mask Podcast. John Elsace, Nick Payne. See, I made a roster move at like 3 a.m.
Yeah, man. It was what was going through your head?
I decided it was time to move on from Khalif Raymond.
But what like 3 a.m? What did you like? Was it something that was keeping you awake?
No, I was looking at my roster because I was looking at, trade scenarios that I wanted to consider, and I realized that my starting lineup was missing a player. I was like, well, I gotta have a starting lineup, right? So I wanted to activate somebody from IR in order to put him in the starting lineup. But I was over the roster limit, so I said I had to make a cut. And Khalif Raymond was it.
And for those who don't know, we're talking about a dynasty league that we're both in. So it was just
Khalif Raymond being rostered. I think that was clear.
Yeah, I woke up this morning and I looked at my phone and I had a notification at 7 a.m. that Nick 3 hours ago made a roster move. So the first thing I did in the morning was I looked to see, all right, what was this roster move?
What was this earth-shattering thing that happened overnight?
Nick decided he was going to cut Khalif Raymond. So yeah, big news. We're starting off the day with some big news.
I wanted everybody to wake up to a banger.
There you go. You set the tone for the whole day.
That's what we do. We set the tone here at the Face Mask Podcast. And we're talking about a big-time tone setter today, right?
Yeah, it's a guy that we haven't touched on and a team that we really haven't touched on at all. And that's Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. And it's kind of crazy that we haven't touched on him at all because he's such an interesting player in the league right now. And coming off his MVP season in 2019 to really kind of being a borderline QB1 for large swaths of 2020.
It's also crazy that our transition went from Khalif Raymond to Lamar Jackson. But regardless,
if you guys want to keep talking about Khalif Raymond,
we're good. I'm good. We got that out of our system. I did anyway. This is going to be an interesting offseason for the Ravens. Lamar, coming off an MVP season. Well, that was in 2019. 2020, they were still a playoff team. But that contract is looming. They don't have a ton of draft capital. They have a late first, they have a late second, but they don't have a third round pick this year. They've already come out and said they're not likely to prioritize a free agent wide receiver or a weapon for the offense. At least
one of the high-priced ones.
Right.
Yep.
So, maybe that means they're in the mix for the second tier, but I would imagine that means they're going to stick with their bread and butter and what's been working for the past 2 years, and it's going to be a diverse rushing attack led by Lamar and J.K. Dobbins.
Lamar Jackson, he's kind of a conundrum to me. I mean, in his MVP season, he was the second best red zone QB by both yardage and TDs, only behind Russell Wilson. And his completion percentage in the red zone, Wilson's was 49.44 and Jackson's was 63.33. So he was the most efficient quarterback far and away in the red zone. And I don't know if he can replicate that again, because that is what led him to be a fantasy superstar. His rushing was great. He made him have a great floor, and he was explosive in the pass game. But he was efficient. He was the most efficient quarterback in the league, I think, in that 2019 season. And he clearly was not the same quarterback from a passing perspective in 2020.
No, he regressed for sure, and some of that was obviously expected. To your point about the level of efficiency in 2019, it's hard to replicate that, right? He was the MVP for a season, right? Oftentimes that's the career year. You don't have career years plural. You have a career year singular. So you knew regression was coming in that department. I think there was a little bit more than people, Ravens fans, Lamar stans, people who just want to see Lamar succeed, there was a little bit more of a regression than you probably wanted to see outside of what was expected. So this is a big year for Lamar. I expect some positive regression here. There's everyone's favorite term. And there will be an uptick, a slight uptick in efficiency this year. That's the ebb and flow of the NFL. Will it be something close to what he was able to do in 2019? That's the question. Can he get on that level? And it might be difficult if the Ravens don't add significant resources to the pass catching group for their offense.
Yeah, because it's pretty clear that even in his MVP season, he wasn't lighting the league on fire with his passing percentages and stuff. He had an insane touchdown rate, which again speaks to his great red zone efficiency. Mm-hmm. But he passed for 3,100 yards. His leading receiver was Mark Andrews with 852 yards.
Yeah, they were predicated on their ground game. That's where they were lethal.
Right, but if you look at their ground game from last year to this year, or from 2019 to 2020, they basically had the same yardage amount from their running backs. In 2019, Mark Ingram rushed for 1,118 yards, and Gus Edwards rushed for 711 yards, and Lamar Jackson rushed for 1,206 yards. In 2020, the combination of Mark Ingram and J.K. Dobbins rushed for just over 1,000 yards and 11 touchdowns, which was basically on par with exactly what Mark Ingram did the year before, and Gus Edwards had the same 700 yards that he's always had. And actually, Lamar Jackson's rushing fell a little bit. He wasn't as efficient rushing the ball last year as he was the year before. What's your hypothesis for where he finishes in end-of-year rankings in 2020? Or 2021, rather.
Oh, I mean, he has top 5 upside, there's no doubt. And I don't think I would put him below 5, just eyeballing it, just because of the rushing production. But he still has some pretty good weapons, even if the Ravens don't add significantly to who they have in the room now. I still think Marquis Brown is a good, deep threat. He has high-level speed. Came on a little bit strong in the second half of 2020 after being kind of non-existent in the first half. But again, we can attribute some of that to Lamar's passing woes. He also had some drop issues, to not put it all on Lamar. Hollywood had some drop issues in 2020. If he can correct that...
And so did Mark Andrews as well. Mark Andrews did as well.
So if that can be corrected even partially in 2021, that obviously helps. And that helps the perception of Lamar a little bit. Because obviously
and drops
are not on him.
Aren't a stat that carry over season after season.
No.
Drops are usually something that's corrected and usually an anomaly.
So there's some upside there. Outside of those two, it's Hollywood and Mark Andrews. It's a ragtag collection of guys. Willie Snead is there.
I think Willie Snead's a free agent,
okay.
So they're gonna have to replace Willie Snead. And I would guess that they're just gonna move people up like Devin Duvernay and Miles Boykin up in the rankings there and just slot him right in.
Boykin will probably be a regular on the outside unless they add somebody in free agency. So it's not the most inspiring core.
I think it'd be intriguing for them to go after a guy like Antonio Brown.
Any second tier, well, Antonio's it's kind of hard to chart him, but yeah, I mean there's him, there's Will Fuller, there's Curtis Samuel, there's Juju. Like there's options that are not going to be command top tier money. It's just a matter of, do the Ravens want to commit to that? If they don't, it's going to be on Lamar a little bit more again to prove that he can carry this offense with a collection of receivers that let's be honest, is not going to top anybody's receiver core rankings as a group, top to bottom. So the Ravens organization can give Lamar some help, but also at the end of the day, Lamar needs to go out and execute himself. I think he can. I think he absolutely can. Maybe not at a 2019 level, but I think he can be a better thrower of the football than he was in 2020. So, yeah, I mean, QB5 minimum.
I agree with you 100%. And I think in best balls, he's a top 3, top 4 quarterback. And in redrafts, he's at least a top 6.
Yes.
In Dynasty, he's still top 6. But honestly, and this is something that I kind of got to bring up with him, is he hasn't gotten injured yet. He's been remarkably healthy for a running quarterback. And the only quarterback that we can really compare him to in terms of how he plays is Mike Vick, as a guy that is more pure rusher than pure passer. And Mike Vick got injured twice before he went to jail. And then he came back and played more pocket passing quarterback style gameplay than a rushing quarterback who could pass. So I think for him to take the next step, he's going to have to rely less on his rushing. Because if he really wants to maximize the longevity of his career, he can't be a rushing quarterback forever. So in a dynasty league, I'd probably be looking to sell him in a 3 to 4 year window. Because you could still get maximum value for him, but you just got to be wary of a guy who, if he's still relying for the majority of production on his legs, you got to be wary of that. But for next year, he's still a top 6 QB at least.
To his credit, he's bigger than Vic, physically bigger than Vic. So that helps.
That's true.
But, it doesn't diminish the point that at some point that's going to catch up to you, because a guy like Cam Newton is also bigger than Vic, and we are now seeing a bit of a decline. So if Lamar wants to prolong his career, he's going to have to probably run less. But for fantasy purposes, I would imagine he's going to continue to run while he's still young, while the receiving core is still on the weaker side. So I'm not concerned about Lamar. Same goes for J.K. Dobbins. I think he's, maybe low second, high third round type of pick with upside there. Hollywood Brown, his ADP has fallen since last year. I still like him. I'm still in on him. If you can get him in the 7th round of a best ball, I say do that every time. And Mark Andrews is still a top 5 tight end who's looking at a serious bounce back situation after what was kind of a down 2020. I think if he can cut down on the drops, and again, I think there's some positive regression in the passing game as a whole that's coming Baltimore's way in 2021. Andrews looks like a decent buy at his redraft spot, and could be a potential buy low in Dynasty, depending on who has him and what their feelings are on him. So Mark Andrews is an interesting guy. Until further notice, the rest of the receiving core needs to play itself out. But, I think Lamar can sustain Hollywood, sustain Mark Andrews as top options at the position. Maybe Hollywood more of a wide receiver 2, 3 sometimes. Not necessarily a wide receiver 1, but Mark Andrews can be a tight end 1.
Definitely a boom or bust guy. He's not a guy that's going to be a steady move.
And then the rest of it, we'll see. But Lamar himself, I think, is better than what he showed in 2020. I think that'll prove itself in 2021.
What do you guys think? Do you guys think that Lamar Jackson's going to replicate what he did in 2019 in its MVP season? Or do you guys think is that his 2021 season is going to look more like his 2020 season did? Put your thoughts in the comment section below. This is the Face Mask Podcast. Thank you for listening. Let's talk about video games. Nick, we have conversations about video games a lot in our off-screen conversations.
Yeah.
It's something
talking
that
about
comes up.
our other non-podcast activities.
Yeah, I'm a nerd, man. I like video games. Not gonna lie.
They're fun. We grew up with them. It's a great way to pass the time, especially in a situation like a quarantine.
Oh yeah, bro. I've been digging into them hard. What's a video game that you would go back to from your past that you would just have no problems digging right back into?
Ocarina of Time. I mean, I think that's a pretty fair assumption. There were a lot of people who played that game who consider it like it changed the scope.
I never fucked with any of the Zelda games.
None of them?
So, none of them. I've watched people play them. The new ones or the semi-new ones that were on the Wii.
You should have demanded the sticks.
But, nah, man, it never interested me. The little dude's talking on the screen, beep, oh, beep. Like, nah, all right.
Well, that's not what it's about. That's just a footnote. I mean, the Ocarina of Time changed the game. It revolutionized gaming. I think a lot of people are in agreement there. The story was fun. It was kind of a prelude to what we know today for open world games. It set the standard. One of the best games ever.
All right. I'm gonna take your word for it because it's not a game that I'm ever gonna go to in 2021. It's just, I don't know.
You're missing out.
It passed my life by. Sorry, bro.
You're missing out. What about you?
Pokemon Game Boy Color.
The OG Game Boy game?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yo, I mean, I still dive into the emulators and the ROMs on my computer from time to time. I'll just play through Fire Red or some shit.
It's a classic.
Those games are so fucking entertaining. They're so entertaining, bro.
You're this little immortal child.
It's not complicated. I know how to do everything by rote at this point. But it's just like a fun way to spend an hour of your time catching some dude, leveling him up, try to put together a team you'd never put together before.
I remember the first time I had the game when I was maybe like 9 years old. I think I was late to school that day because I got it, I played it. I was not allowed to bring the Game Boy with me to school, but I snuck it into my backpack. And on the way, I just got lost in Pokemon and I was late. Thankfully,
awesome.
Thankfully, I don't think my parents ever found out, but that's just to the credit of the game that I actually lost track of time on a school day. You know, when you're a little innocent child, and
yeah, that's dedication.
That part of that type of thing means something. Stay in school, kids.
Yeah, man.
So love Pokemon.
That's probably got to be up there for me, just because I don't care.
One I can go back to right now because I have not switched to the PlayStation 5 yet. I have not made that leap yet. I still have my 4 like a loser, but one of the greatest games I've ever played is on the 4.
Anybody's that not a millionaire?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's some people have the 5. But anyway, I don't. I do have the 4. And Horizon Zero Dawn is on the 4, and that game is phenomenal. See, that is the result. That is what manifested from Ocarina of Time. A game like Horizon Zero Dawn, because it's an open world.
Damn, look at that transition, you guys. Oh,
boom.
Shit.
That's the transition that I was hoping for.
Shit.
Damn. That's what I was trying to go for in the intro, but it flopped. Sorry. I believe that, though. It's an open world game. It's a third person. It's an RPG. And it has elements of so many other games in it, from the fighting style to the different amounts of quests that are available that you can play to the main mission. I sound like such a dork right now, but screw it. You're all in this together with us here doing this now. So it's fine.
No, man,
it's
I gotta
amazing.
say that's
the
one
game
of
is
my
incredible.
favorite games too.
I told you about it, yeah.
You introduced me to it. I remember going over to your crib and watching you play it, and you being like, "Oh man, this game's so fun," and I was like, "Nah, man, I don't know, yeah, I'm gonna go play Shadows of War or some shit.
Those games are fun.
Yeah, whatever. They're not on my greatest games of all time list though.
No.
And I have to say that this game is probably, it might be rounding out the top 5 for me, but it's up there.
It's so
in terms
good.
of console games from the PlayStation 3 to the PlayStation 4 and now obviously the 5. In that era, it's probably my favorite game.
Enough said.
Yeah.
Enough said.
Can you tell we're nerds yet?
We'll keep going so they know for sure.
All right, hit me with another one, bro.
So this one, I don't know if it's niche. I don't know. I'm just not that well up to speed with how well people, outside of hardcore gamers. But dude, Ni no Kuni,
Great game.
phenomenal game. It's kind of like a Pokemon game on a console.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Pokemon, but there's so much more to it. There's a whole story. It is like playing out a childhood fantasy scenario that you dream up when you're 7 years old.
That's exactly what it is. And I've played through that game twice, and both times I never got to finish because my save game failed.
What the hell, man? What's the matter with your situation?
So that game
there?
would probably be in my top 5 if I ever finished it.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Go finish that game. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's got the greatest soundtrack of all time.
That's another thing.
Shout out to Joe Hisaishi.
The soundtrack is so good.
Great.
Yeah.
Don't. I could sing it.
Don't try to do that here now.
Yeah, no.
Let's stick to sports. Okay. Or games in this case. I'm trying to think if there are 2 others. You go next.
All right. You're gonna notice again, the games I'm gonna pick are gonna be fucking weird. Age of Empires 2. Age of Kings.
Oh no, that's not weird. No, I love that game.
That game.
I've been trying to find a way to play it for years.
That game is one of my favorite games.
I don't have Windows.
It's simple, but it's like, I don't know. I spent hours in front of the computer screen as a child playing Age of Empires.
I think that was my.
Yeah, man.
I think that was my introduction to like a strategy game. Yeah. Well, as far as video games are concerned, obviously I've played
that and Command and Conquer, but more Age of Empires for me. The
first time I figured out how to play online with other people, I played until like 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. Probably from like, maybe like dinnerish. So not a marathon, but I remember I was like, I'm 10 years old. I'm not supposed to be doing this.
I used to go over to my friend On's
game.
house and we would just sit in front and we would alternate playing that game on the computer, and then the other like little 12-year-old would watch and just be like, I don't know.
Oh, that game was
childhood
so fun.
Shit, man.
There were a couple of campaigns in that game that I remember. Maybe I just, maybe I wasn't good enough. I could not beat them. Like some of them were they were timers.
Some of them were really hard, man.
Some of them were really, really difficult because you start out with nothing in some scenarios and you have to go up against a whole empire. Some of those scenarios were pretty difficult, but the challenge was so fun, and the story that they laid out in them were a lot of fun. The multiplayer settings were a lot of fun. No, I agree.
You learned a little bit along the way. Like I remember learning a little bit about, oh shit, what civilization is that?
It's a bit of a history lesson.
Let me ask Jeeves that shit.
Oh man, back when that was a thing.
Oh yeah.
No, Jeeves was a hookup for information.
He was a hooker.
And then Google ate him. Moving on.
I gotta say another one of mine too has got to be Diablo 2: Lord of Destruction.
Okay, I never played that one.
I played that game into the ground, and I still do. And they just came out. They said that Blizzard said that they're gonna remaster it, and it's gonna be out at the end of the year. And I've already pre-ordered it. I don't pre-order games. It's the only game I've ever pre-ordered.
There you go.
But I'm gonna go back and be a 12-year-old again and play that game until like 4 in the morning.
I can't
against people on the internet.
I can't speak to that one, but enjoy, have fun. I'm gonna round out mine with a couple of classics that can still be played today, still be played with friends, and it's war when it happens. That's Mario Kart and Super Smash Brothers.
Oh, yeah.
2 classics that you can pick up with
Yeah.
friends at any time, and it will be on like Donkey
Muscle
Kong.
memory kicks in, and
Yup.
you're all battling again like you used to, bro. It's
Right.
crazy.
Yup. The friendship ender
What
games.
character are you in Super Smash? What character?
I like Link.
Okay.
I,
All right.
I like playing as Link. I've switched it up to Fox, even though I don't like his attacks as much. They're just, I don't know. It's more rapid fire
We're
and
talking
doesn't
the
do
OG
as much damage.
N64. We're talking OG
yes.
N64, yeah.
No doubt. But yeah, Link and Fox.
You know, I was Blue Kirby.
Sounds like a bank.
Annoying as fuck.
Blue Kirby,
Just bricking you from the sky all day.
bricking, eating them, turning into, stealing abilities. Pretty
Yeah,
rude.
bro. Watch out.
Okay. One
It's
more?
hard for me to nail down one more.
I was
It's
gonna
really
say
hard.
it's difficult. I had to think about it, but I had to go with some classics to round mine out.
Because I'm thinking, like, yo, SSX Tricky, great game. I'm thinking Metal Gear Solid 3, great game. All PlayStation 2 games.
Yep.
And yeah, I probably have to round it out with those last 2 in there. Really.
Sneaking in an honorable mention.
Maybe NBA Street Volume 3. You know, I could. The list goes on, bro.
Yeah, I can
There was
honorable
a
mention.
whole PlayStation 2 era where I just like, yo, I was heavy into fucking playing games.
I'll honorable mention Madden.
Okay,
I'll honorable mention Madden.
we got to because it's a football podcast.
We had to shout it out. What else they paying us for?
Yeah, even though we get the same game every year with new rosters.
Yeah, well, that's why you stick with the old one for a couple of years.
I'm still playing the PlayStation 2 one because it has the mini games on it, which they should bring back. Rushing Attack.
Rushing Attack was a lot of fun.
Yeah, man. I don't know why they didn't just keep mini games in there. It's such an easy thing to keep in there, but I don't know.
We don't make those big, hard-hitting decisions, do we?
I'm hoping that when I can afford a PlayStation 5, the next generation Madden is really going to be like a step up or something. And not just like, ooh, this is slightly better graphics.
I will wait to hear from others before I take that plunge.
Yeah, it's probably going to be me too. Fuck it. No, it's not. It's actually not. I'm not going to do it.
Like I said, I'll wait and see what happens with everybody, with what everybody else wants to do. But I think I have my list. Ocarina of Time, Horizon, Ni no Kuni, and then the classics, Mario Kart, Super Smash.
Yeah, that's a good list.
I'll honorable
That's a good
mention
list.
both Madden and Pokemon. I was thinking about, do I just put Pokemon in, but I'll honorable mention
I got a
it.
cover for you, bro. Yeah, that's my number 1 game. So, yeah. Love it.
It's a classic.
But anyways, thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for staying this long into our non-football conversation.
Into our total and complete ramble.
If you have any video games that you think that we missed on, put them in the comments below. We want to hear them. Maybe we'll play them if we haven't heard of them.
And you go play them.
Yeah, go play Pokemon
Yeah. Or whatever else you want to do.
or fantasy football. Yeah.
It's fair enough.
Peace.